Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Rodan. And today, I'm reviewing a graphic novel for you. It's gonna be this one right here. Oh yeah. I haven't reviewed a graphic novel in such a while, and I haven't reviewed a Godzilla graphic novel in such a long time. So, I figured I would take this as an opportunity to do so. Now this, of course, is going to be a spoiler-free review. Of course, as always, let's get into the story of it, shall we? In this kaiju graphic novel, it takes place 20 years after the kaiju had pretty much ravaged the land. Kaiju means giant monster in Japanese. But we get to see after the prologue of an old man whom is talking. He wakes up alone in his tent. He walks outside and we are first exposed to Tokyo. Yeah, try to think of District 9, so to speak, kind of thing. And he sees that there are some survivors who are now living in this particular area. No monsters have been seen in 20 years, but the old man in this book has constant sense that of the dread that they will return. And for this city, Tokyo, that's been pretty much destroyed, the survivors pretty much have to find a way to survive, and we get to see the narrative story switches gears with the old man's grandson and his friend, to somehow get survive. So yeah, I do like how the style of the book is set up. You see the kaiju fighting each other, of course Godzilla taking central place. I do like the fact that some of the monsters like Biolante do come into play. The character of Biolante seems completely wasted here in the storyline, because concerning the fact in that one movie that came out during the 1980s, she was one of the few monsters that actually gave Godzilla a challenge, really. And this kind of thing was really scary and creepy and eerie. I mean, yes, obviously this graphic novel take place in a different continuity. It's pretty much its own thing, sure, but there's just so much they could have done with this character. This character alone, there's so much they could have done, really. And of course, she wants to fight off Godzilla. And that's pretty cool, folks. She plays an important role of the overall story. And then, of course, we see Martha coming into the story as well to help Biolante in some sort of way. So yeah, we just get to see other characters like Kamakuris. Yeah, he makes up in the story. Well, quite a few of them, I should say. And of course, he battles Godzilla for quite a bit, of course. But maybe too quickly, I guess. The monsters in here are from the movies, of course. They don't make up no new monsters. To me, it's a bummer. They should have made some new monsters just for the sake of this scenario. But anyway, I like the artwork. The artwork is gorgeous to look at. And I do wish that the fight between Godzilla and Biolante should have stayed a little longer. This isn't a terrible book, folks. I quite enjoyed it. Yeah, I do kind of feel that this was a bit of a missed opportunity. Because this could have easily been like a straight up horror movie kind of a thing, like the original Godzilla film was. And yes, of course, we're going to have some scenes, okay, a lot of scenes I should add, where he's going to be fighting a bunch of monsters, which this series became known for. And yes, by the way, you don't necessarily have to watch any of the movies to understand this, because this is its own separate continuity, which to some extent can be pretty annoying, because a sense of connection will be nice, and it's probably preferred, actually. But like I was saying, is that this does take itself fairly seriously. There's some gloomy moments. The overall story is trying to give the comic a sense of dread, because the human characters have to live in a constant threat of these creatures, because they're all over the place. Of course, the human characters are under a constant threat, so yes, of course, they're going to be stressed out and whatnot. Life isn't exactly easy, so it's like having this giant creatures everywhere kind of doomed the planet to some extent, I guess. And yeah, having all these monsters just running amok, and of course, people are going to be wondering, oh, what the hell to do? Yes, obviously there's the human aspect of the story. The human characters are under constant threat. It just seems as though that the entire world was pretty much demolished by these creatures, and the human characters are fighting back. It doesn't give me that vibe there, so there's that. And just so everyone would know, folks, this graphic novel was originally released as individual comics at first before being collected into one novel eventually, which actually is a typical thing has been done in comics, just so you know. But yeah, that's kind of why I just want to view this as a novel instead of just individual issues. And you can't exactly live a normal life under these kinds of conditions because these creatures, these things, are all over the place. Even if some of them are good, but still. So yeah, of course, there's gonna be a constant fighting and whatnot. I just kind of wish could have just created their own monsters instead of reusing the stuff from the movies. But it did have potential to be better than what it was. But quite sadly, it just fell flat on its face in some areas. Not a bad book, but it had potential to be much, much more than what it was. I quite enjoyed it. The dialogue was written in a decent manner. Now the pacing is a little off on time. The pacing needs a little work, but overall it's pretty good. It's pretty much like a what if scenario. That's the best way I can say it, folks. It's a what if scenario kind of thing. It's not canon to the movies at all. It's thinking of like 28 days later, or 28 weeks later, I should say. Think of those movies, but except for zombies, it's filled with giant monsters. It's a pretty interesting concept, if you ask me. So yeah, I quite enjoyed this, folks, and I highly, highly recommend it. So yeah, folks, overall, I thought this was a pretty good graphic novel. It did have the potential to be more than what it was, and it does have some flaws. But is it a bad graphic novel? No, it was an interesting one. Yeah, this the entire collection they have right here, folks. They did release this series as in issue by issue, but this is pretty much the collection that they put together as the graphic novel. Oh, I would love to see a comic book series, or at least a lengthy graphic novel, be based upon my favorite video game, Rumble Roses, and have Ego be the main character in it. But I highly doubt that they will ever actually do that. I mean, they didn't even make a third game yet. So I say check this out. Pick it up, folks. Check it out. If you're a Godzilla fan, I'll say check it out. Yeah, it may not be the best one they made, but I thought it was pretty good. It gets an overall rating of a 7.2 out of 10. As always, thank you for watching, and take care. See you.